Performances for Friday. Palace Theatre Together Wherever. A romantic play that will make you laugh and cry. Filled right pointer from 2 p.m. No breaks and a running time of 1 hour and 45 minutes. Filled right pointer actors available to talk in the lobby after the performance. Filled right pointer no food or drinks available. Filled right pointer free t-shirts for 5 lucky people. Grand Theater. The Guitar Queen. A rock musical featuring colorful costumes. Filled right pointer starts at 1 p.m., 3 hours long including 2 15-minute breaks. Filled right pointer opportunity to greet the cast in their costumes before the show starts. Filled right pointer light refreshments, snacks and drinks, original t-shirts, and other goods sold in the lobby. Instructions. Which performance would you like to attend? Fill in the form below and hand it in to your teacher today. GIS. Intensive English Summer Camp. Galley International School (GIS) has provided intensive English summer camps for senior high school students in Japan since 1989. Spend 2 weeks in an all-English environment. Dates: August 1 to 14, 2023. Location: Lake Kawaguchi Youth Lodge, Yamanashi Prefecture. Cost: 120,000 yen, including food and accommodation, additional fees for optional activities such as kayaking and canoeing. Courses offered: Forest. You'll master basic grammar structures, make short speeches on simple topics, and get pronunciation tips. Your instructors have taught English for over 20 years in several countries. On the final day of the camp, you'll take part in a speech contest while all the other campers listen. Mountain. You'll work in a group to write and perform a skit in English. Instructors for this course have worked at theater schools in New York City, London, and Sydney. You'll perform your skit for all the campers to enjoy on August 14th. Sky. You'll learn debating skills and critical thinking in this course. Your instructors have been to many countries to coach debate teams and some have published best-selling textbooks on the subject. You'll do a short debate in front of all the other campers on the last day. Note: only those with an advanced level of English will be accepted. Filled up pointing triangle application. Step 1. Fill in the online application here by May 20, 2023. Step 2. We'll contact you to set up an interview to assess your English ability and ask about your course preference. Step 3. You'll be assigned to a course. Navi 55 presents the new Smart Support shoe line. Smart Support shoes are strong, long-lasting, and reasonably priced. They are available in 3 colors and styles. Special features. Smart Support shoes have a nano chip which analyzes the shape of your feet when connected to the iSupport application. Download the app onto your smartphone, PC, tablet, and/or smartwatch. Then, while wearing the shoes, let the chip collect the data about your feet. The inside of the shoe will automatically adjust to give correct, personalized foot support. As with other Navi 55 products, the shoes have our popular root memory function. Advantages: better balance. Adjusting how you stand, the personalized support helps keep feet, legs, and back free from pain. Promotes exercise. As they are so comfortable, you will be willing to walk regularly. Route memory. The chip records your daily route, distance, and pace as you walk. Route options. View your live location on your device, have the directions play automatically in your earphones, or use your smartwatch to read directions. Customers' comments. I like the choices for getting directions, and prefer using audio guidance to visual guidance. I lost 2 kilograms in a month. I love my pair now, but it took me several days to get used to them. As they don't slip in the rain, I wear mine all year round. They are so light and comfortable I even wear them when cycling. Easy to get around. I don't need to worry about getting lost. They look great. The app's basic features are easy to use, but I wouldn't pay for the optional advanced ones. Commuting challenge. Most students come to my school by bus or train. I often see a lot of students playing games on their phones or chatting. However, they could also use this time for reading or doing homework. We started this activity to help students use their commuting time more effectively. Students had to complete a commuting activity chart from January 17 to February 17. A total of 300 students participated. More than 2/3 of them were second years, about a quarter were third years, only 15 first years participated. How come so few first YCARS participated? Based on the feedback given below, there seems to be an answer to this question. Feedback from participants. HS. Thanks to this project, I got the highest score ever in an English vocabulary test. It was easy to set small goals to complete on my way. KF. My friend was sad because she couldn't participate. She lives nearby and walks to school. There should have been other ways to take part. SS. My train is always crowded and I have to stand, so there is no space to open a book or a tablet. I only used audio materials, but there were not nearly enough. JH. I kept a study log, which made me realize how I used my time. For some reason most of my first-year classmates didn't seem to know about this challenge. MN. I spent most of the time on the bus watching videos, and it helped me to understand classes better. I felt the time went very fast. Going camping. Read me. Hi, I'm Caitlin. I want to share 2 practical camping lessons from my recent club trip. The first thing is to divide your backpack into 3 main parts and put the heaviest items in the middle section to balance the backpack. Next, more frequently used daily necessities should be placed in the top section. That means putting your sleeping bag at the bottom, food, cookware and tent in the middle, and your clothes at the top. Most good backpacks come with a brain, an additional pouch for small easy-to-reach items. Last year, in the evening, we had fun cooking and eating outdoors. I had been sitting close to our campfire, but by the time I got back to the tent I was freezing. Although I put on extra layers of clothes before going to sleep, I was still cold. Then, my friend told me to take off my outer layers and stuff them into my sleeping bag to fill up some of the empty space. This stuffing method was new to me, and surprisingly kept me warm all night. I hope my advice helps you stay warm and comfortable. Enjoy your camping trip. Create your own home adventure. Last year, I took part in an adventure room experience. I really enjoyed it, so I created one for my children. Here are some tips on making your own. Key steps in creating an adventure. Theme, storyline, puzzles, costumes. First, pick a theme. My sons are huge Sherlock Holmes fans, so I decided on a detective mystery. I rearranged the furniture in our family room, and added some old paintings and lamps I had to set the scene. Next, create a storyline. Ours was the case of the missing chocolates. My children would be detectives, searching for clues to locate the missing sweets. The third step is to design puzzles and challenges. A useful idea is to work backwards from the solution. If the task is to open a box locked with a 3-digit padlock, think of ways to hide a 3-digit code. Old books are fantastic for hiding messages in. I had tremendous fun underlining words on different pages to form mystery sentences. Remember that the puzzles should get progressively more difficult near the final goal. To get into the spirit, I then had the children wear costumes. My eldest son was excited when I handed him a magnifying glass, and immediately began acting like Sherlock Holmes. After that, the children started to search for the first clue. This adventure room was designed specifically for my family, so I made some of the challenges personal. For the final task, I took a couple of small cups and put a plastic sticker in each one, then filled them with yogurt. The detectives had to eat their way to the bottom to reveal the clues. Neither of my kids would eat yogurt, so this truly was tough for them. During the adventure, my children were totally focused, and they enjoyed themselves so much that we will have another one next month. How to study effectively. Contextual learning. Tim Oxford, science teacher, Stone City Junior High School. As a science teacher, I am always concerned about how to help students who struggle to learn. Recently, I found that their main way of learning was to study new information repeatedly until they could recall it all. For example, when they studied for a test, they would use a workbook like the example below and repeatedly say the terms that go in the blanks. Obsidian is igneous, dark, and glassy. Obsidian is igneous, dark, and glassy. These students would feel as if they had learned the information, but would quickly forget it and get low scores on the test. Also, this sort of repetitive learning is dull and demotivating. To help them learn, I tried applying contextual learning. In this kind of learning, new knowledge is constructed through students' own experiences. For my science class, students learned the properties of different kinds of rocks. Rather than having them memorize the terms from a workbook, I brought a big box of various rocks to the class. Students examined the rocks and identified their names based on the characteristics they observed. Thanks to this experience, I think these students will always be able to describe the properties of the rocks they studied. One issue, however, is that we don't always have the time to do contextual learning, so students will still study by doing drills. I don't think this is the best way. I'm still searching for ways to improve their learning. How to make repetitive learning effective. Cheng Li, professor, Stone City University. Mr. Oxford's thoughts on contextual learning were insightful. I agree that it can be beneficial. Repetition, though, can also work well. However, the repetitive learning strategy he discussed, which is called massed learning, is not effective. There is another kind of repetitive learning called spaced learning, in which students memorize new information and then review it over longer intervals. The interval between studying is the key difference. In Mr. Oxford's example, his students probably used their workbooks to study over a short period of time. In this case, they might have paid less attention to the content as they continued to review it. The reason for this is that the content was no longer new and could easily be ignored. In contrast, when the intervals are longer, the student's memory of the content is weaker. Therefore, they pay more attention because they have to make a greater effort to recall what they had learned before. For example, if students study with their workbooks, wait 3 days, and then study again, they are likely to learn the material better. Previous research has provided evidence for the advantages of spaced learning. In one experiment, students in groups A and B tried to memorize the names of 50 animals. Both groups studied 4 times, but Group A studied at 1-day intervals while Group B studied at 1-week intervals. As the figure to the right shows, 28 days after the last learning session, the average ratio of recalled names on a test was higher for the spaced learning group. I understand that students often need to learn a lot of information in a short period of time, and long intervals between studying might not be practical. You should understand, though, that massed learning might not be good for long-term recall. Lessons from table tennis. Ben Carter. The ball flew at lightning speed to my backhand. It was completely unexpected and I had no time to react. I lost the point and the match. Defeat. Again, this is how it was in the first few months when I started playing table tennis. It was frustrating, but I now know that the sport taught me more than simply how to be a better athlete. In middle school, I loved football. I was one of the top scorers, but I didn't get along with my teammates. The coach often said that I should be more of a team player. I knew I should work on the problem, but communication was just not my strong point. I had to leave the football club when my family moved to a new town. I wasn't upset as I had decided to stop playing football anyway. My new school had a table tennis club, coached by the PE teacher, Mr. Trent, and I joined that. To be honest, I chose table tennis because I thought it would be easier for me to play individually. At first, I lost more games than I won. I was frustrated and often went straight home after practice, not speaking to anyone. One day, however, Mr. Trent said to me, "You could be a good player, Ben, but you need to think more about your game." "What do you think you need to do?" "I don't know," I replied, "focus on the ball more." "Yes," Mr. Trent continued, "but you also need to study your opponent's moves and adjust your play accordingly. Remember, your opponent is a person, not a ball." This made a deep impression on me. I deliberately modified my style of play, paying closer attention to my opponent's moves. It was not easy, and took a lot of concentration. My efforts paid off, however, and my play improved. My confidence grew and I started staying behind more after practice. I was turning into a star player and my classmates tried to talk to me more than before. I thought that I was becoming popular, but our conversations seemed to end before they really got started. Although my play might have improved, my communication skills obviously hadn't. My older brother Patrick was one of the few people I could communicate with well. One day, I tried to explain my problems with communication to him, but couldn't make him understand. We switched to talking about table tennis. "What do you actually enjoy about it?" he asked me curiously. I said I loved analyzing my opponent's movements and making instant decisions about the next move. Patrick looked thoughtful. "That sounds like the kind of skill we use when we communicate," he said. At that time, I didn't understand, but soon after our conversation, I won a silver medal in a table tennis tournament. My classmates seemed really pleased. One of them, George, came running over. "Hey, Ben," he said, "let's have a party to celebrate." Without thinking, I replied, "I can't. I've got practice." He looked a bit hurt and walked off without saying anything else. Why was he upset? I thought about this incident for a long time. Why did he suggest a party? Should I have said something different? A lot of questions came to my mind, but then I realized that he was just being kind. If I'd said, "Great idea. Thank you. Let me talk to Mr. Trent and see if I can get some time off practice," then maybe the outcome would have been better. At that moment Patrick's words made sense. Without attempting to grasp someone's intention, I wouldn't know how to respond. I'm still not the best communicator in the world, but I definitely feel more confident in my communication skills now than before. Next year, my friends and I are going to coordinate the table tennis league with other schools. Collecting. Collecting has existed at all levels of society, across cultures and age groups since early times. Museums are proof that things have been collected, saved, and passed down for future generations. There are various reasons for starting a collection. For example, Ms. A enjoys going to yard sales every Saturday morning with her children. At yard sales, people sell unwanted things in front of their houses. One day, while looking for antique dishes, an unusual painting caught her eye and she bought it for only a few dollars. Over time, she found similar pieces that left an impression on her, and she now has a modest collection of artwork, some of which may be worth more than she paid. One person's trash can be another person's treasure. Regardless of how someone's collection was started, it is human nature to collect things. In 1988, researchers Brenda Dene and Tamar Catriel analyzed 80 years of studies on children under the age of 10, and found that about 90% collected something. This shows us that people like to gather things from an early age. Even after becoming adults, people continue collecting stuff. Researchers in the field generally agree that approximately 1/3 of adults maintain this behavior. Why is this? The primary explanation is related to emotions. Some save greeting cards from friends and family, dried flowers from special events, seashells from a day at the beach, old photos, and so on. For others, their collection is a connection to their youth. They may have baseball cards, comic books, dolls, or miniature cars that they have kept since they were small. Others have an attachment to history. They seek and hold on to historical documents, signed letters and autographs from famous people, and so forth. For some individuals there is a social reason. People collect things such as pins to share, show, and even trade, making new friends this way. Others, like some holders of Guinness World Records, appreciate the fame they achieve for their unique collection. Cards, stickers, stamps, coins, and toys have topped the usual collection list, but some collectors lean toward the more unexpected. In September 2014, Guinness World Records recognized Harry Sperl, of Germany, for having the largest hamburger-related collection in the world, with 3,724 items, from t-shirts to pillows to dog toys. Sperl's room is filled with all things hamburger. Similarly, Lu Fuchang, of China, is a collector of playing cards. He has 11,087 different sets. Perhaps the easiest motivation to understand is pleasure. Some people start collections for pure enjoyment. They may purchase and put up paintings just to gaze at frequently, or they may collect audio recordings and old-fashioned vinyl records to enjoy listening to their favorite music. This type of collector is unlikely to be very interested in the monetary value of their treasured music, while others collect objects specifically as an investment. While it is possible to download certain classic games for free, having the same game unopened in its original packaging, in mint condition, can make the game worth a lot. Owning various valuable collector's items could ensure some financial security. This behavior of collecting things will definitely continue into the distant future. Although the reasons why people keep things will likely remain the same, advances in technology will have an influence on collections. As technology can remove physical constraints, it is now possible for an individual to have vast digital libraries of music and art that would have been unimaginable 30 years ago. It is unclear, though, what other impacts technology will have on collections. Can you even imagine the form and scale that the next generation's collections will take? Tardigrades, Earth's ultimate survivors. Ask someone to name the world's toughest animal, and they might say the Bactrian camel, as it can survive in temperatures as high as 50 degrees Celsius, or the Arctic fox, which can survive in temperatures lower than 58 degrees Celsius. However, both answers would be wrong, as it is widely believed that the tardigrade is the toughest creature on Earth. Tardigrades, also known as water bears, are microscopic creatures, which are between 0.1 mm to 1.5 mm in length. They live almost everywhere, from 6,000-meter-high mountains to 4,600 meters below the ocean's surface. They can even be found under thick ice and in hot springs. Most live in water, but some tardigrades can be found in some of the driest places on Earth. One researcher reported finding tardigrades living under rocks in a desert without any recorded rainfall for 25 years. All they need are a few drops or a thin layer of water to live in. When the water dries up, so do they. They lose all but 3% of their body's water, and their metabolism slows down to 0.01% of its normal speed. The dried-out tardigrade is now in a state called Ton, a kind of deep sleep. It will continue in this state until it is once again soaked in water. Then, like a sponge, it absorbs the water and springs back to life again as if nothing had happened. Whether the tardigrade is in ton for 1 week or 10 years does not really matter. The moment it is surrounded by water, it comes alive again. When tardigrades are in a state of ton, they are so tough that they can survive in temperatures as low as -272 degrees Celsius and as high as 151 degrees Celsius. Exactly how they achieve this is still not fully understood. Perhaps even more amazing than their ability to survive on Earth, they have been on Earth for some 540 million years, is their ability to survive in space. In 2007, a team of European researchers sent a number of living tardigrades into space on the outside of a rocket for 10 days. On their return to Earth, the researchers were surprised to see that 68% were still alive. This means that for 10 days most were able to survive X-rays and ultraviolet radiation 1,000 times more intense than here on Earth. Later, in 2019, an Israeli spacecraft crashed onto the moon and thousands of tardigrades in a state of ton were spilled onto its surface. Whether these are still alive or not is unknown, as no one has gone to collect them, which is a pity. Tardigrades are shaped like a short cucumber. They have 4 short legs on each side of their bodies. Some species have sticky pads at the end of each leg, while others have claws. There are 16 known claw variations, which help identify those species with claws. All tardigrades have a place for eyes, but not all species have eyes. Their eyes are primitive, only having 5 cells in total, just one of which is light sensitive. Basically, tardigrades can be divided into those that eat plant matter, and those that eat other creatures. Those that eat vegetation have a ventral mouth, a mouth located in the lower part of the head, like a shark. The type that eats other creatures has a terminal mouth, which means the mouth is at the very front of the head, like a tuna. The mouths of tardigrades do not have teeth. They do, however, have 2 sharp needles, called stylets, that they use to pierce plant cells or the bodies of smaller creatures so the contents can be sucked out. Both types of tardigrade have rather simple digestive systems. The mouth leads to the pharynx, throat, where digestive juices and food are mixed. Located above the pharynx is a salivary gland. This produces the juices that flow into the mouth and help with digestion. After the pharynx, there is a tube which transports food toward the gut. This tube is called the esophagus. The middle gut, a simple stomach-intestine type of organ, digests the food and absorbs the nutrients. The leftovers then eventually move through to the anus.